Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to FSS Challenge Week number 5. We are getting into our last match of the day. Of course, earlier on this stream, we did see Sky Raiding Rhinos take out Black Flight Squadron. But now we've got a little bit of interdivision matchup going on here between the Glowwater Thralls and Sacrilege team. Of course, once again, I am Imagine, and with me is Sir Morty. Morty?
Hello, everybody.
This is going to be quite a matchup here between these two teams.
Indeed, this should be a good one.
Yep, and Glowwater Thralls, I think, are sitting quite pretty up on top of the rankings of the Hammer division. And Sacrilege kind of needs to win this one to keep pace with everyone else in Anvil. You've got, as we've discussed, you got the Holy Roman Army up top with 4-0, and Cake and Sky Invading Rhinos are now both 3-1. So they've got to win this.
Yeah, they've got to win this. Otherwise, we're going to have a three-person tie for second or third if Sacrilege comes out of this over top of the Glowwater Thralls.
Yep, they will keep on bottlenecking the standings in Anvil, which has been quite competitive. And if they lose, they will drop down to 2-2 and be tied with the Merry Men for third/fourth place, I guess. But I don't think they want that. However, it's going to be quite a fight versus a team such as Glowwater Thralls, who very well accomplished and have been playing quite extremely well themselves.
Indeed.
And we're waiting on seeing what's going to happen on this map. Of course, we are once again on Canyon Ambush, the same map that we had earlier today. Now, there's a Mobula on Scrimscross side.
Oh, now let's have a look at this Mobula. Remember, we've had a couple of upsets with brawling Mobulas in the past, especially on Canyon Ambush, so I'm wondering whether or not we'll see the same thing again. Now let's see what it's facing, whether or not there's any significant threat to that Mobula.
Yep, so far it looks like a double junker build.
Yeah, double standard junker by the looks of it. Yeah, that could have posed some problems to the Glowwater Thralls, but it depends in what situation you find yourself in. If they can get the drop on those junkers, then it can quite easily be taken down if they focus well enough.
Yep, looks like they are bringing out a Carronade fish to face against the Junkers, which is, quite a smart move in that sense. Now, it can also end up backfiring because there are quite a lot of Artemis on those Junkers, and if that heavy Carronade gets knocked out on that goldfish is going to be nigh useless. But there's a lot of there's a lot of balloon to shoot on those Junkers, and so a lot of it is going to depend on who manages to hit who.
Yeah, well, I guess you could say that is the case in any scenario, especially with Guns of Icarus. But I think it's a lot harder said than done, especially with Junkers, because their balloons are so close to the hull.
Fair enough.
The upper deck Artemide can be very easily used to disable goldfishes coming in close. However, that heavy Carronade has a fair bit of range to it, so if they stay at a fair range, probably stay on the brawling side, then that's when that advantage will come into play. We've just got, it's basically going to be a game of avoid the Artemis.
Yeah, now I'm looking at the okay, there we go. So we do have a heavy clip. Looks like Mezu's probably going to be the one who's going to shoot that Carronade. Personally, I like Gunner along with the Carronade just to switch between, that heavy and charged, and maybe incendiary if you really feel like it. But having that at least somebody with that heavy clip is going to be really the biggest thing for that Carronade to be able to have that range and be able to shoot basically in a straight line wherever you want it to hit exactly.
Yeah, well, on a Mobula, it only really depends if you've got a heavy damaging gun on the third top slot on top of the hull. I'd say take a gun for that, maybe, but I'm in two minds about the Carronade. I usually run a Carronade Squid, and I never really have a gun unless it's someone I know.
Yeah, I would.
It's just great.
I don't know. I would say that with the light Carronade, probably all you really need is greased, maybe. Well, I guess you can take heavy if you really needed it. Anyway, we are getting into this match. It is our last match of the day. Once again, Glowwater Thralls and Sacrilege here in this cross-division matchup between Hammer and Anvil division. I think so far, I think in the cross matchups, I think so far Anvil is actually coming out on top. Most of the matches, I think maybe the first week is the only week that they've actually lost it. So we'll see if that streak keeps up. Once again, Sacrilege kind of needs this win to keep pace, and Glowwater Thralls, of course, doesn't want to relinquish their lead from top of Anvil or Hammer division as well. But let's give a quick rundown of ships. So on the Thralls side, we've got the Acer Globula. It's got on the bottom deck, that Gap Mortar. Very top, it's got a Banshee. It's also got a Flare Gun and an Artemis. And on the Requiem for Lucy, we've got that Blender Fish with a heavy carronade up front. That's Fiasco Total Ship with a Flare Gun and a Flamethrower on the side.
On the side of Sacrilege, we've got the Yieldy Rubbish flown by Tropo with the standard triple Artemis build on the port side, and Gap Mortar Brawling build
no,
on
it's
starboard
not
side.
quite. It's not quite triple Artemis. It's Gatling Artemis.
Is there a Gatling? I can't see because I've got Das Fox in the way. Yes, it is. It's a Gatling Artemis. You're right. Can't see through a name there. And then we've also got the Bulbous Demon, flown by Castus Curious. Another. Oh, it looks like another double Artemis Gatling.
Yeah.
That's unique. I've not seen that used very much before, but here we go. We've got flares coming out, and I already can see the Mobula down below them. Just depends whether or not they look down and figure that out.
Yeah, and Requiem for Lucy has been spotted as well, so that is quite an interesting build there. Gatling Artemis, I'm not sure if I've ever seen that before, so I don't know what the thought behind that one is, but so far they have managed to catch Lucy all alone and just battering that ship into oblivion. And Acer Globula is trying to do something, but now falling back down. I don't know, maybe he hit against the rock there, possibly?
Yeah, I think he clipped just the underside of the rock and had to descend again just to get out of the way. Actually, it makes sense if you look at the shots going in the Requiem for the Lucy. With burst or greased rounds in those Artemises, at mid-range you can turn the Artemis into a fairly effective weapon.
Yeah, very, very much so. And Requiem for Lucy's still taking a lot of damage here. And Acer Globula is still just skirting around the bottom here. He's gone up and down a couple of times. I'm not entirely sure.
They may have run into something, but they've got the Bulbous Demon trying to chase them down now. They seem to have given up for that and let the Acer Globula just come to them, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it seems that they're just trying to take cover in that clouds.
Yeah, Globula is definitely staying low, and it's fine for them. You know, these two Junker weapons can't reach them from where they are. So I don't. Maybe the thought is that if they can get the balloons popped, then the Junkers will fall down into the Mobulus arcs. This has been a really weird start to this game.
Yeah, it's a very strange start to the game. Requiem for Lucy is again now taking more Artemis hits, and I don't think they're going to live very much longer. They're getting the carry carronade shots against the Bulbous Demon, but not very much is happening. Oh, and here comes the Acer Globula.
Finally coming on up as Yield Rubbish has moved out from the side, and that leaves the Globula and the Lucy to start shooting at this Bulbous Demon. Globula drops back down.
Yeah, we've had the Bulbous Demon use a little bit of kerosene to get out of there as quick as they can. Now they're trying to spin around to make sure that Mobula doesn't chase them. But I think they've got their eyes still set on Lucy.
Yeah, Lucy has done a good job of backing on up and getting out of trouble now. It's being disabled just constantly. Finally gets a couple of shots off there on the Bulbous Demon, dropping that balloon. And Glowwater Thralls have done a great job so far managing to stay alive. And now here come all those Gatlings onto the Bulbous Demon. And here comes the Mortar. Will they actually be able to do this? Yes, they do. And so through all that fire that was going on to the Lucy, the Glowwater Thralls managed to stay alive. And they will take the first kill with the Globula, finishing that off.
That's very well done. It seems like that low-level maneuvering actually paid off. Now let's see whether or not that the Acer Globula can chase down the Yieldy Rubbish before their ally can come back to them. Yep. But it seems like they can't. We've got the Lucy now trying to face down the Bulbous Demon, maybe try and buy some time, maybe run away just to get a bit of space, bit of breathing room. But the Bulbous Demon losing their balloon.
Yep, Requiem for Lucy using that carronade. Here goes some more. Oh, Yield Rubbish bumps against the rock here, and that's going to cut all sorts of momentum. Oh my god, and Globula takes down the other Junker as well, and that is a 2-0 lead 4.
That's brilliant.
Wow, this is again really the Thralls' way so far, and almost surprisingly so, as the Sacrilege
Yeah.
team caught those 2 ships out in the middle of nowhere, and the Globula was just kind of sitting around on the ground. The Requiem for Lucy was getting disabled constantly, and all it took was just one junker getting a little bit ahead of the other. Globula takes full advantage of that, comes up from behind him, using that really good vertical movement of a Mobula to go up and down, and takes him out, and that's a 2-0 lead for the Thralls.
That's very good. I love seeing a Mobula flown well. Normally you see Mobula maxed out with long range guns and used as a sit back heavy support, really. But it's nice to see someone meta it up and intelligently use a bit of cover and get in and beat a few people up.
Yep, now we got some shots coming in, those Artemis shots coming in towards Requiem for Lucy. Lucy doing a fairly good job of avoiding them. A couple of them exploded before it got anywhere near the Lucy, of course, but using more of that vertical movement. And I feel like that's if the Thralls are good at one thing, it's using vertical movement to get out of tough positions.
Yeah, you're always worried about either getting uppercutted by them or them flying over your head. So they're very good at using that, very well practiced at using hydrogen effectively, only in little bursts rather than keeping it left on. But it seems like they're having a little bit of trouble trying to debate whether or not to use Lucy as bait again or
well, I mean,
just let the junkers come to them.
They've got to be careful of using Requiem for Lucy as bait, as Lucy is extremely low health, and the problem is if the Lucy does go down, the Globula is not a tough ship. It's going to take a lot of damage really quickly. As you can see, they're already backing up out of here, using some of that kerosene to move on back. You do that ship is really fragile, and if you can't. If you get a 2v1 going against a Mobula, that Mobula is probably dead pretty fast.
Yeah, it probably is. So we've just got the Requiem for Lucy now. Probably just going to sit low and wait for them to show up, wait for them to be the aggressive towards the Aesir. I wish they are being, so we're probably going to see Lucy come around now and yes, try and come up behind old Rubbish to see whether or not they can pin somebody down.
Yep, and Bulbous Demon going after the Globula. Requiem for Lucy swinging around here, getting that carronade into the Yield Rubbish. Globula using that hydrogen to get on up, but I think maybe just went a little bit too far up. But here we go. That double Gatling coming down on Yield Rubbish, and unfortunately a lot of that is going into the balloon instead of the armor.
Yeah, that
nice
isn't ideal, but that isn't ideal, but they'll get on with it. Now, it seems like the Bulbous Demon have got their back to the Requiem for Lucy, which is a bad idea, because Lucy can just disable them and leave them on the ground while the Aesir gets on with the job.
Yeah, and
which
here
it
we
seems
go.
Like it's doing.
Yield Rubbish getting, here comes that Banshee coming in, and looks like both of them are going to leave the Bulbous Demon behind and go right on after the Yield Rubbish, and does get taken down.
Oh, that was beautiful.
An absolutely great decision making so far here by the Glowwater Thralls. They are playing up to every single good word that you can say about them.
Yeah, the Glowwater Thralls really. It's very rare that Glowwater Thralls have a bad game, and they seem to have got this plan set in stone, and it's working. It's working very, very well indeed.
Yeah, and here we go. Some more Gatling fire into the Bulbous Demon. Here come the mortar shots, but it was just a little bit too far away. No, but the Banshees actually do a fair amount of damage there. There is fire going back onto the Globula, but not quite enough. I would have actually really liked to see the Bulbous Demon get out of here, but carronade shots finish him off this time around.
Now, with the Aesir, you can see the benefit of not maxing out on mortars. A lot of people think, oh, if you got one mortar, it does a lot of damage. Why not have a second one? Double the damage, yes. But as we saw there, if a ship's descending, if a ship's just a little bit too far away, the mortar's pretty well, not useless, but hard to use. So that Banshee has made all the difference in these slightly mid-range engagements anyway.
Yep, definitely using it to its full effectiveness. And after that first little skirmish there, the Thralls have definitely taken control of this game. They just have dissected these double junkers, and I gotta wonder if it's the magic of the carronade there. They managed to get the Bulbous Demon down into the ground, and that meant they could just follow behind the Globula against the Yield Rubbish, and well, we'll see what happens here. Now, of course, Requiem for Lucy is still at extremely low health, and of course, the Globula, being a Mobula, is not known for its longevity either. So this game can turn incredibly quickly still, as we saw. BFS almost managed to come back from being down in a deficit too, but with only one more kill needed for the red side here, Sacrilege has got to be extremely careful.
Yeah, they've got to play very, very cautiously now. Now, we saw a few minutes ago a flag come out and spot the blue ships just as they spawned behind this far western mesa. Now, it seems that they were aware of that and are now moving out into the open to see if they can dupe their enemy.
Yep,
This
they're gonna.
pretty thick cloud cover obscuring any chance of being spotted, and they have snuck around slightly behind red team, but not in a distance to do anything. They've got too much terrain to actually get those Artemai on target.
Yeah, I still kind of wish they had a Hades instead of Gatlings on the Artemis side, because if they did, they wouldn't need to go in as close to get like full killing blows against the Requiem.
Maybe not.
You could just sit back a lot further away, be a lot safer, use that Hades to pierce armor as well. A few shots going off on here. I think the Globula is just barely out of Gatling range. No, a few of them still connecting there now, finally out of Gatling range.
Looks like they're using Lesmok Gatlings there. Now, I can see the wisdom of using those Gatlings on the side of the Junkers, because if you use Lesmok, you can get them long range. If you use some charge rounds, you can get some moderate disabling ability, especially against that front carronade. But it's just not happened yet. Or they've not thought of it yet.
Possibly. All right, so here we go. Balbus Demon and Yield Rubbish both spotted, and neither of the red ships are. They have a general sense of where they are, but you feel a lot more comfortable when you got full spots going on.
Yeah, they're low in these clouds now. They've got no idea that the Azer is right underneath them, so they're probably going to use the Requiem for Lucy as bait again.
Yield Rubbish. Balloon is out, but Requiem for Lucy charging on fourth. Maybe a little bit too much. Oh, just gets that armor repaired. And now starting to work on the Balbus Demon. And remember, all they need is one kill, but Requiem for Lucy is almost out here and armor down once more. And
again, and Bounder goes again.
But Balbus Demon goes down in the meantime. Oh. The Glowwater Thralls managed to pull it out with a 5-0 victory against Sacrilege. And my oh my, if this doesn't prove just how extremely good Glowwater Thralls is, I don't know if anything will.
Glowwater Thralls are very good indeed. Sacrilege did try very, very well. They had slightly odd with the addition of Gatling gun, but still very solidly loaded out ships. I could have called it any other way.
So, well, that's going to basically finish up our game with Sacrilege losing 5-0 there to the Thralls. The Sacrilege team will... That's the wrong one. The Sacrilege team will fall to 2-2, tying them with Zill's Merry Men.
Yes.
Let's see. Let me just arrange this real quick here.